Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Joshing Around Milwaukee. As always, I am Josh Albrecht, and with me is...
Josh Albrecht.
That's right, Josh Albrecht. And today we have a very special guest, and that is Sarah Fierek, founder of Sincerely in Song, with the Wildflowers on the Water Festival at the Lakeshore State Park.
Two Joshes are better than one. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Two Joshes having some fun. 'Cause two Joshes are better than one.
Sarah, how are we doing?
Doing well. Thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, it's so exciting to have you in studio, and we're excited to talk about the festival, the mini festival that's coming up soon, and a great new tradition for the Lakeshore State Park and the Friends of Lakeshore State Park who helped put it on. Disclaimer: I am a board member for Friends of Lakeshore State Park, so this is.
And thank you for that.
Blatant self-promotion of an organization that's very dear to me, and I think it's an amazing park. Before we talk about the event, I do want to talk a little bit about the park because it's the perfect backdrop for an event like this because it's so beautiful and it's a unique urban park.
Exactly. So it's actually the only free urban state park in the state of Wisconsin. And the scenery couldn't be any better. If you have a chance to explore Lakeshore State Park, you can come in the entrance through the north side, which is by Discovery World, or you can go in through the south side, which is by the beautiful lighthouse that everybody tends to love to take pictures in front of underneath the Hone Bridge.
Sure.
And, there's prairies, there's a view of the lake, there's a view of the harbor. You can see Discovery World's building, the skyline, beautiful wildflowers, and it really shows off Milwaukee in a very positive way. And it's meant to be an accessible park for everyone. So part of the festival is really to get more people to experience the park. Some folks don't make it down to the lakefront as often as we would like. So we really would love to continue to amplify Lakeshore State Park and the mission of Friends of Lakeshore. And that's kind of one of the things that is such a beautiful treasure is, the fact that it's right in downtown.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, Josh's, but I love the fact that Milwaukee has so many wonderful parks. I grew up in the country, so having access to land and water and nature is really important to me. So we're quite blessed in our city.
Oh, extremely. And
Yes.
Lakeshore State Park, there was we also, VISIT Milwaukee also produces a TV show called Good Things Brewing, and DJ Shauna, who's a local celebrity DJ of the Bucks, she chose that as one of her key places you have to go when you're in Milwaukee, whether you're a resident or a visitor, to see the skyline from there. She loves that. And so having the event here is going to be a beautiful way to showcase the park, but of course showcase the city. And some of it's also to showcase music. And
Absolutely.
you yourself are a musician, and through your inspired work, that's sort of where this festival came to life.
Yes, and speaking of DJ Shauna, she will be one of our special guests this year.
Awesome.
So we're really exciting. She's going to play some music, do a little mix for the kids. It's a family-friendly event. So to have DJ Shauna, and I've known her for a number of years, and really just to see all the amazing things she's done in our city, and now with the Milwaukee Bucks, it's a real honor to have her be on the lineup this year. And obviously, she's a really passionate member of the community and a friend of Lakeshore State Park as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So let's go back to year one.
Yes.
So we're in year
Right.
two now. Year one, how does it start? Like where's the idea percolate from?
So basically, as a singer and songwriter and founder and visionary of Sincerely in Song, every song I release, I pair with a cause or a movement. And I was planning the release of my song Wildflowers. I was introduced to the board president of Friends of Lakeshore State Park, and he had mentioned they're really looking for ways to activate the park. And I thought, well, what a perfect fit. They have beautiful wildflower prairies right there. If they need help activating the park, I could curate an event and bring in more musicians. So really, it's about uplifting their cause and using my voice to do that. But anything that I tend to work on, I don't like to just make it all about me. That's why I'm creating an organization that really has an intention of working with additional artists and helping to uplift the Milwaukee music scene and create more music partnerships in the community. So the event is meant to get people out into the park, to activate the park, to help local musicians have a new stage in a park and to be able to play. We also invite vendors and artists, and we'll have some food trucks on site. And we raise funds for Friends of Lakeshore State Park. So after the production costs are covered, anything that's additional will go right to their mission and help benefit the great work of the organization.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. And of course, the park is kind of a beautiful prairie scape. I mean, it is like filled with great wildflowers, and the name is so fitting. So I'm sure when you had that conversation, you're like, the song is absolutely perfect, right?
Yeah.
Like it was just sort of serendipitous.
Totally. It's and I love that this year, you know this well, probably being a board member, but the fact that they added some really nice signage of what type of wildflower is in the native space, right? So you can actually walk through and learn about flowers as well, see butterflies and bees and, everything that really comes to pollinate and be in the land. So it's really one of those magical places that if you're just looking to check out, even if you work downtown and you want to take a quick walk over your lunch break, it's a really nice way to be in nature and escape. And there's so many little pockets in the park too.
Yeah.
There's one view particular that I love that's facing Lake Michigan, and it's just, you can see like the grasses blowing in the wind, and as the sun sets, it's just like such a tranquil place. And to be so close to the city and have a resource like that, to me is pretty magical.
Yeah.
So the space, obviously, when I found out they were looking to activate it and I had this song, it just felt like such a great pairing, and really trying to scale the festival. So it's only year 2 this year, but we've been in talks with some of our partners, like at the Milwaukee World Festival and others, to say, as we scale this, maybe we do more partnerships and we make it bigger and we have an actual stage right next door that we could do some additional talent and larger talent and, get a larger crowd.
Yeah.
So really the plan is to continue to scale the festival and to continue to help grow the support that it brings for Friends of Lakeshore.
I mean, that's such a great point. I think probably a lot of people who attend, whether it's Summerfest or German Fest or many of the other festivals at the World Festival grounds, they might not realize they're looking across at a state park.
Exactly.
When they look across the little lagoon there.
Yeah, and to be honest, I didn't know for years either. Like, it was a hidden treasure, and then all of a sudden I was exposed to it, and I'm like, wow, like you can actually walk through this whole beautiful landscape, and it's kind of a hidden gem.
Yeah.
And I would really love to help more people discover it and be able to, enjoy the beauty that it has to offer.
Yeah. So the event, an evening event.
It's an afternoon event, so it's Saturday, September 7th, 3 to 7 p.m. It's family friendly. We intentionally chose not to make alcohol available at the event, so it's really about coming and enjoying nature, being present. We'll even have some sound bowl healing in the beginning of the event, so really meant to help ground people, get folks into the park, and to enjoy, being outside and connecting with people. I did find last year that it felt like the engagement of that really worked. People were very present. We had some blankets available from one of our sponsors for like the first 20 some people. This year we'll have 50 of them, but they could take a blanket, put it wherever they wanted on the land, and experience the music and talk to some of the vendors, get some food. So it really turned out to be a lovely thing, and we're excited to do 2.0 and to keep growing it, and to obviously continue to help Friends of Lakeshore State Park be able to do the great work that they're doing.
And admission free.
It's free, so it's free and open to the public, and that's another exciting thing about scaling it.
Yeah.
We have some really wonderful community sponsors. For year 1, I'll be really honest, like it was so heartwarming to have so many great, like iconic companies and local partners be involved with amplifying it and saying yes. Because, sometimes you go in with a big idea and you're like, will anybody get behind this? And, we had like 10, 15 sponsors at least last year. And, it's one of those things that I think when you're from Milwaukee or you live in Milwaukee, we're kind of about supporting and uplifting each other. So the more we can do things like that and encourage creators and, founders of new startup nonprofits and what have you, it really does make a big difference.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and obviously VISIT Milwaukee, a sponsor last year, excited
Yes.
to sponsor in year 2 and continue that. You mentioned earlier that you always like to, give back with the songs. What was the inspiration within the song itself, Wildflowers, and why does it make sense to give back through the state park? Like, what was the true connection and sort of like that synergy?
Yeah, like beyond the name.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the name is obviously a coincidence, a happy coincidence, but there has to be more there.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think if you put on some headphones and listen to the song, if you could do me a favor, do that and walk through the park. And I think then you'll really understand. Like, it's some of the lyrics are, I get lost inside of your eyes. When you sing, you make the butterflies smile, creating all my dreams to living out loud. Like, it's really about nature and basically like for me, I grew up in nature. I grew up in the country, so I would write a lot, inspired by nature. So it felt so organic and authentic to partner with an organization that basically was like the landscape for this song. So it's almost like the natural music video lyrical pairing with the song, if you will. I know that's like an immersive concept of live and true color, but that was really the intention. And how and why I started to do this. So it dates back to when I was really young. So I started singing and recording when I was 3 years old. That
is young.
Isn't it?
That is very young.
My mom gave me a blank tape, the little microphones that you plug into the phone jack.
Sure.
And Memorex tapes, blank tapes, and headphones, and a microphone, and basically was like, I'll listen to it later. And little did she know she was training a future broadcaster and singer-songwriter. But beyond that, when I was about 10 years old, I actually still have this letter. Must have been like an English assignment or something, but it talked about how I wanted to be a singer and use my voice. And the specific example I gave was to help the homeless. And when I found that letter and I was coming back to music, I thought, well, why can't I? Why can't I do it that way? Because I think in the music industry, sometimes we feel this pressure that you can't, do something great until you've quote unquote made it. But really, my whole career in coming back to music has been about using my voice for good. So the first release I did was a holiday song at Cathedral Square Park, and I paired that with Key to Change, which is helping to end chronic homelessness. And we raised $2,700 with that release with a couple weeks promotion. So it's really about like how can each and every one of us use our gifts to make a difference, and looking at nothing is too small. Like, sure, I would love to at some point be able to say I'm able to do, a huge donation and have naming rights on a building and be a really, generous philanthropist. But in the meantime, it's like, how can I continue that vision and start where I'm at?
Well, and a lot of times it's just starting small. Like you kind of glazed over, it's just a second year, but that's a big deal. There are a lot of things that start and they don't get that backing. There's not that growth, and a lot of things don't see a year two. And then from a year two, then things continue to grow, and who knows, one day, we could be interviewing again, and it's, hey, you remember when a couple of years ago when it was year two, and we had this, and now look at how far we've come. So it is a big deal, and just seeing how how this specific project that you're doing has grown, and what you've seen from that.
Yeah. So I want to switch gears a little bit to talk a little bit about the community itself. So obviously, there's a lot going on in Milwaukee right now, and we like to say that it's a city that's got some fresh city vibes. And so, what's giving you fresh city vibes right now? What are the things that are exciting you about Milwaukee? Where are you going? Where are you taking friends from out of town? Like, what's in your world?
I mean, that's a loaded question because there are so many wonderful things to do. A lot of what I'm doing lately is building a startup and, being a singer-songwriter that's kind of stepping out on my own. I spend a lot of times in various coffee shops throughout the city.
There's a lot of them.
Isn't there? And we are so blessed to have like I always say, Stone Creek Coffee is like one of my favorites. The fact that they're a certified B Corp, and just like watching their evolution as a Milwaukee company has been really amazing. Being in nature, I'm always about championing our parks, whether it be a county park or a state park. That's something that when I think of how am I going to show off our city, and then the standard places like the Milwaukee Public Market, like we were just there for lunch. Who did we run into? Machine Gun Kelly, I think we saw.
Oh, really? Today?
Yeah.
I was just walking around.
He was just like walking. I
don't
actually
even
like
think he's got a
literally ran
concert.
into him.
I think that's how much he loves Milwaukee.
He was like, I've just been hearing that this city has fresh vibes, and I need to check it out.
Yeah, is there a state park near here?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, right down the road.
Yeah. Just go check it out.
Now, were you like, hello, Mr. Machine Gun, or
no, we just kind of walked past, but I basically, just like literally like ran into him. But I think we have so many great things to offer as a city. Our arts and culture scene here. I'm a big basketball fan, so I love Milwaukee Bucks. I also love watching hockey games. So like so many things that Milwaukee has to offer are, I think, really attractive to anyone that may choose to live here or visit. To pick just like one particular thing would be really hard for me. But I'm always trying to be supportive of the community, of local business owners, and immersing myself into the scene. And the Milwaukee music scene is also something that I've been following for quite a long time now, as being a part of a a movement that was really amplifying music discovery. So, I think we're in a really unique place as a city. And that said, of course, we always still have things we need to work on, which I think is sometimes really an important conversation to talk about, right? And being sure that we continuously make those steps of progress. And I do feel like there's so many people in Milwaukee who are truly passionate about that. So that's some of the many things that I love about the city.
That's great. As a musician, has the city inspired a few songs? I mean, other than, obviously, the Wildflowers, it wasn't directly inspired by Friends of Lakeshore State Park. There was a nice synergy there. But is there a song that's like, an ode to the Bronze Fonz, perhaps?
Not to the Bronze Fonz, but that could be a future song.
Not yet.
Actually, though, my holiday song that I released 2 years ago now, Cathedral Square Christmas, that was literally inspired by Cathedral Square and Cocoa with the Clauses that the Milwaukee Downtown puts on. I was blessed to sing for that event, and I got out of my car and parked, and just as I was leaving my car, the snow started, flurries started to come, and it was I literally felt like I was in a snow globe. And I just had this moment, and there were all these little kids lined up to meet Santa and Mrs. Claus, and I just started writing that song. So, it says, meet me downtown at Cathedral Square for Cocoa with the Clauses. So it's literally ingrained into that particular record. And that record's one I'm really proud of. I executive produced that from a funding standpoint, and we have Lloyd Berry did the horns on that. He's done work with Aretha Franklin. Roger Ryan produced it out of Nashville. And it's a really large record with all live instruments. And if you know a bit about production and music, that's really a really great way to produce records. And sometimes not all musicians either have the funding or take the ability or opportunity to do so. So that was one that was directly inspired by Milwaukee.
That's great.
And, I've been in writing mode for the last 3 years, so I've written close to 200 songs with various production partners, one of which, who's the producer of this record, which I should mention, Derek Lindsay. He was one of Prince's sound engineers for many years at Paisley Park. So he's my production partner on this, and I can still remember
just a tiny name drop.
Right?
Yeah, I think I've heard of that. You said Prince, was it?
Yeah, right? Yeah, one of the greatest, gone way too soon, unfortunately. But, I still remember the day that we wrote Wildflowers. It was an afternoon in May, and we had an afternoon session. And, that's not always typical, but I was inspired by everything blooming and starting to grow. And I'm always looking for inspiration, and sometimes it just finds you at random places.
If someone wanted to listen to the song right now, what's the fastest way to get to it?
All of my music is on Spotify or Apple or anywhere that you would consume on streaming platforms. SarahFierek.com or SincerelyInSong.com is also a place where you can find all the records. Yeah. And the one other song I should mention, Mustang, is my latest release. We're actually doing a music video for that coming up in early August. It'll be my first official music video.
Very cool.
That particular record is paired with Center for Veterans Issues, which is near to my heart as well. So. I look forward to continuing on the journey. I'll be releasing a full-length album at some point in the very near future. The date is not set yet, but I'll be sure to let you both know.
Yeah. If there's any other songs to be inspired by Milwaukee, Josh, any recommendations for inspirational Milwaukeeisms?
I mean, there's just so many. I don't know how you'd pick just one. I always think about when you talk about beauty, just the lakefront. Just there are just times when life is so busy and you just feel so run down. And I'll just take a drive down to the lakefront, and I'll just park and just put my phone away and just walk along the lakefront, and it's so peaceful. And so that's where I'd go.
I thought maybe you got into one of the swans and just paddled around in a circle on
it's
a
actually
swan.
really fun.
I have not done that.
Maybe we need to do that.
Okay.
We should plan a foul up. We'll get in the swan and go.
Yeah.
And then the magic all comes together.
Yeah. I thought for sure you were going to say State Fair. I thought you were going to be like, look, I zen out. I go to the State Fair.
Yeah, right.
And
eat a cream puff and write some music.
So my friend Pat McCurdy he wrote the State Fair theme song that they used the last couple of years. And that thing, when it comes to the State Fair, I mean, I don't know how else you could. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. When it comes to talking about a ton of fried food and then, amusement rides that then bring up that fried food, it's a
pig
perfect
races.
song. It's exactly what you'd want.
We're gonna pen an ode to the state fair
Yeah,
here.
that's right.
We'll bring,
That's right.
Yeah, we'll bring Wildflowers to the state fair maybe and have a whole thing. It's the 100th anniversary of the Cream Puff this year, so maybe there is a Cream Puff ode out there. I think the Bronze Fonz.
Yeah.
The river, kayaking on the river could be a good one.
That is a beautiful experience.
That's a great being on the water. We've raced with kayaks. You
Yes.
won.
I did not win.
You guys raced?
We got
destroyed.
Yeah.
At the,
What was your racing ground? Like, where did you race on the river?
We were on the
it was like 100 yards.
through the third. It was down in the third ward area.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's such a great view of the city
Yeah.
from the water.
Oh, it was an amazing view.
yeah.
But
I think you could definitely be inspired by the river.
yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely.
I was desperately just trying to stay
afloat.
water.
And I know we talked about it before, but I love that you wore a wildflower-inspired shirt today.
Yes,
That's pretty
I had to
amazing.
when I knew we were going to be talking about it. But I appreciate the shout out. This was a win. Today's shirt was a win.
Score.
Yes.
Kudos.
So is there and just to get to bring it back to Wildflowers, anything we didn't touch on with the event or anything that you're particularly excited about in year 2 that maybe be different? Any parting thoughts on the event itself?
We're going to have a make and take art experience. So we'll have some coloring book pages, but then we also are having a local curating group come in and do either painting. We haven't quite decided, so that'll be fun where people can actually sit on a table and create something inspired by
That's very cool.
the lake and take it with them. As far as who's going to be a part of the bill, we will be announcing the official lineup probably by next week. But some of the folks that we have confirmed will have the Sound Bowl Healing, we'll have the Community Drumming Circle where people can come in and pop in with Angie Mack of Ozaki Talent. Kavan Cortez Jones is going to do a spoken word piece. Another woman named Saliqua Winston is going to be performing this year. DJ Shauna, as I mentioned. And then we're bringing our first out-of-state artist to come in. Her name is April Henry. She's coming from L.A. She has a beautiful collection of songs and also a passion for pairing her music with domestic violence causes. So we're going to work on getting a partnership in order when she's in town. And then we have Wildered and Heirloom Trio. We're also talking to Dandelion Delivery Services. And Dave was like, but they can't deliver dandelions at the park. It was really funny. But
we don't need a dandelion infestation.
Yeah,
Is that
right?
word? Yeah.
And then Suzanne Grisana, she's a local music educator, a saxophonist, and jazz vocalist. And, it's like Charlie Vibes will be there debuting a song about getting out the vote. So really just like amplifying the great creative scene here. And we are still looking for vendors and folks that are interested in getting engaged. So there's a form on my website. If they go to the Wildflowers tab, it just says interested in getting engaged, and they're able to fill that out. But, I think in general, having DJ Shauna this year is going to be a really awesome thing to add to the mix. And all the creators are just really special people, passionate about their craft and also passionate about supporting a good cause. So we're excited for the folks that'll be here. Last year we did have the Mounted Patrol. The Milwaukee Police Department brought the horses out so kids could actually sit on the horses, which was really kind of cool, a nice way for them to engage in the community as well. But yeah, lots of things in the works.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, we really appreciate you sharing the story behind the event and getting to learn a little bit more about you and how you were inspired to write your music. And I look forward to that song about the cream puff. So
Yeah. I mean, it could be for the 101st. You got a lot of stuff going on now.
I do.
No need to rush it. But,
that's right.
Josh, you got to let these things just kind of happen.
Marinate.
Yeah.
The seed has been planted.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sarah. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to the event when it comes up.
Yes, thanks so much for having me and for what you do for the city and amplifying all of our missions.
You bet. Thank you.
All right.